Welcome into Daily Insider. Stephanie Otey here, breaking down the exciting NBA playoffs, going over some great games and some great matchups. We got two series that are really intriguing. Our guest today, who is Seth Lockard, writer at Pro Sports Extra. Seth, I know you're pretty pumped to get into some NBA playoff.
I'm super excited to be here.
Well, I know you were excited about last night's game. Boston obviously put off the win. I, of course, took Nets money line plus 140. Didn't work in my favor. We were talking about this right before we jumped on. Obviously, you had the Celtics winning this one.
I've got the Celtics not only winning this one, but winning the series. And it comes down to the fact that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving can't win the series by themselves. And especially in Boston, I knew coming into the series, winning a game in Boston for the Nets was going to be super difficult. And I think Kyrie Irving last night showed that he's rattled for sure. And I actually thought before the game, I was like, he got fined for the putting up the fingers and whatnot. I was going to see if he was going to do it again to see if he was rattled or not, if he cared about the money or whatever. He just seemed like he wasn't into the game. And in a game where they needed him to step up because Kevin Durant's getting triple guarded. And it just seems like the Celtics defense is too much for them. And I think it's going to continue on even into Brooklyn.
Yeah, it kind of felt like he was defeated. KD and Kyrie are doing everything. It seems they had their worst night together as teammates in their first 55 games as teammates, regular and postseason. Both shot worse than 33% field goal shooting. Durant was just 4 of 17, 24%. Irving, 4 of 13, 31%. Obviously, we know the Celtics defense has been elite this whole season. But do you think once they get to Brooklyn and that home turf might help them out? Because I thought Irving would have, all the fuel in the road to prevent another loss in Boston. But I think that there was a sense of defeat even going into that game. So do you think that Brooklyn, once they get back to Barclays Center, it could help them?
I mean, obviously, I think Game 3 they're going to come out on fire. I think I'm even going to be like held back by myself to bet Celtics money line on Saturday because winning 3 games in a row is going to be tough. But the way they do it, it's going to be defense again. I mean, I think just because they're in Barclays Center, I don't think that it's going to affect the defense for the Celtics as much. It all comes down to this. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving both had to score 35 plus to win the game. They both had to drop 30, 35 plus to win the game. Bruce Brown, they had the Bruce Brown game last game, and they didn't take advantage of it. I think those guys have to step up, but now it's up to 2 stars, and it's just going to be a lot. I just don't know. I think, and you look at the spread for that game, I think it's like 3.5. Give me the 3.5 of the Celtics because the only way the Celtics lose this game is going to be in the final minutes. It's going to be turning the ball over. It's going to be the Celtics are going to lose this game if they play the way they did in the first quarter in the fourth quarter for this game because I thought the Celtics had lost the game it was 12-0, and I was like, oh, they're doing this again. They turn the ball over. They're not setting up the offense because the way the Celtics play is defense. Defense that leads to offense, not the ISO ball with Tatum and Brown. They don't do that anymore. They used to, but that's not how they win the game. They win the game on defense that leads to offense, and that's what they did in the third quarter. So yeah. I would take the Celtics plus 3.5.
Yeah, when you look at that duo, they're up against Jason Tatum, who's having big nights. But when you see the difference from game 1 and game 2, what do you think is the biggest identifier and how things changed so much for the Nets?
I think they relied. I think what it was they had the lead in the first quarter. I think Kevin Durant's just trying to do too much on his own, which he has to, but he's got to move the ball around. He's going down and just chucking crap up at some points. It's like he's getting triple guarded. The way the way I see the Nets winning is if they get Seth Curry involved, which is going to open up shots for KD and Kyrie. If he's just going down there and throwing stuff up, they're just wasting possessions. And even when they get the turnovers, when Celtics turn the ball over, they're hoisting threes up, and that's not gonna win games for the Nets. Like I said, the only way I see them winning the game is if Kevin Durant's gonna drop 40, and Kyrie's gonna help him and drop 30. But the Celtics defense, if the Celtics stay true to their identity and play defense, and not let the Nets get easy possessions, I just don't see a path to victory for the series for the Nets. Game 3 is a different story. I think Barclays Center is going to be popping. Do I expect the Nets to win the game? Maybe. But if the Nets don't win game 3, I think the series is over completely.
Do you think how many games do you think there will be in the series?
If the Nets win game 3, I think the Celtics will still win it in 6. If the Nets lose game 3, it's over in about 5.
Yeah, I don't think it'll get to 7, but
No.
I wouldn't be surprised if things light up once they get to Brooklyn.
Yeah,
I
I
think
could
that
see
could
it.
help. Yeah.
The Celtics have to stay composed. They're gonna lose that first quarter. That place is gonna be going crazy, but they got to stay composed. And then the thing with the Celtics, they're a young team, but an experienced team, to where they know what they have to do when it gets down to, oh, we're down 16, we're down 17. We got to keep playing Celtic basketball. I think a team like in the playoffs, Timberwolves, they're a young team, not experienced. In game 2, you saw they got flustered after being down by a bunch. It was like, oh, we don't know what to do. Celtics know what to do. So it's going to be interesting to see how they come back. I think they're going to go down in the first quarter. So live bettors, first quarter of game 3, hammer the live line of the Celtics. That's kind of what I would suggest.
Yep. So an interesting one out in the West for tonight, Memphis and Minnesota. This is a tied up matchup. Did you have a favorite going into this series, and has it changed?
I did have a favorite. We got on the Twitter Spaces before the game 1 of this, and I gave my hot take. I said the Timberwolves are going to win the series.
Wow.
And I think it just came down to, I think they're better offensively when they want to be. And I thought going after the playing game when they beat the Clippers, and I was so high on that. I was like,
did you think they were going to beat the Clippers? Clippers.
Yeah, I had Timberwolves winning that series. I just thought the Clippers, well, obviously they had no Paul George, so it was kind of at that point over. I mean, they were about, like, it was plus 4.5 before the Paul George injury, and then they became a favorite. I went money line. I was like, there's just no way. I think the Timberwolves, they've got an identity where it's hunger. It's Karl-Anthony Towns has been a good player in the past couple of years, like throughout his whole career. He needs to be a really good player in this series. And you saw in game 1, he did that. Game 2, he came out, and I think what it was is the Timberwolves were so high on that game 1 win, where they came in game 2 kind of lackadaisical, sloppy, because it's the experience. And it's, if they had maybe a couple guys on that roster that have been in the playoffs before, and like experience wise, I think they'd win the series at ease. I really do. I think the Grizzlies struggle. They came out in game 2, they scored a bunch, but I think they struggle to score sometimes. You saw in game 1 where the Timberwolves went on that big run. If Dylan Brooks and Desmond Bane aren't hitting threes, I just don't trust the bench of the Grizzlies to score. That's kind of where it is.
Yeah, we saw Karl-Anthony Towns struggle earlier. Do you think that him getting bullied or him being soft is a concern? Obviously, he's been putting up some big numbers, but do you think that he gets soft?
Does Towns get soft?
Yeah, that was the argument on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem with Towns is he gets so, with the foul game, he gets flustered. Like when he doesn't get his calls, players like that kind of get on my nerves a little bit. Just play the game. The calls are going to go whatever way they go. I mean, especially in these playoffs, the calls have been pretty all over the place. The game last night between the Celtics and Nets, I mean, and which the off-ball calls are getting absurd because these players are getting into foul trouble, and that's kind of affecting the games. Is Towns soft? At sometimes, yeah. I think he can be when the game's not going his way. But I mean, that's the thing with this team. I mean, it's a young team, so they're going to be all over the place. But I think the X factor is D'Angelo Russell. I do. I've been saying that since the series started. He's got to score 20 points every game for them to win.
Yeah, I think that he just gets a lot of attention on him. He leads their team in points, rebounds, and blocks this season. But he also led the league in fouls after the All-Star break, and he struggled with foul trouble in this postseason. So, do you think that may affect like any props you're taking?
I mean, I'll tell you right now, D'Angelo Russell over 17.5 points at plus money tonight is pretty nice. I'm pretty on it. I think that's a good bet. I think at plus money, I mean, he got in foul trouble game 1, and then game 2, he was playing well, but they got blown out in the second half, so he didn't get there. But I think 17.5, I think he gets there tonight. I like that a lot, plus 100.
I love the Buckeye love. Do you think he's underrated? He's too underrated because he has scored over 10.5 points per game in this series. He's shooting 22.7 from the field. So it's a bit surprising. Russell torched the Grizzlies in their first 4 games. He averaged 31 points per game, shooting 55.8%. So do you think he's overrated or underrated?
I think he's underrated as a scorer. I think people forget what he did. Honestly, in Ohio State, but also like early in his career, like he was a really good player. He's kind of fallen off. I mean, going back, switching teams and this and that, but and he's also, I mean, the thing is he's playing under Edwards and Towns, so it's hard to be that guy. But D'Angelo Russell is that guy, and he can be. And I always thought that in this series that was what he had to be. Hasn't happened yet, but a lot of people say the series doesn't start until the home team wins. Grizzlies just won. Series has started. It's D'Angelo Russell time.
Are you looking at the total at all? It's set at 238 right now. Timberwolves, they have the fastest pace in the league, allow 113 points per game. They rank in the middle for defensive rating, but second in rebounding percentage. So the Grizzlies, they'll need to maintain the momentum from the last game to carry over into Minnesota. But do you think that we'll see an over here?
You're getting 238?
That's what it's at right now.
Yeah, I'm seeing 236 on FanDuel right now, but I like that a lot. I think the 236. I think this game goes way over. I think that this series is going to go over a lot of the time, but especially at home in Minnesota, that place is going to be rocking. I think the first quarter. I like the first quarter over a lot. I think they're both going to drop about 30, 35 points in the first quarter. I really think that. Yeah, I like the over a good amount today. I like the first quarter over more, but I think the over is in a good spot.
Yeah. Looking at another good matchup tonight, the Mavs, they even out this series. Do you think they can carry that over? Right now, Luka is optimistic. He's listed as questionable.
He's questionable, yeah.
Yep, he had a good practice yesterday. He says he's feeling optimistic about playing in game 3, but all reports I'm hearing is that there's absolutely no way they're going to rush this no matter what the outcome of any game is. I know the goal was game 3, game 4. Right. They're saying it's very different than Dirk's injury from 19 years ago. It's not like that, but we also look at KD's injury. He comes back, it's hurt again. So I think they're taking this very precautiously. They're being optimistically precautious is the way they're going about it. But right now, they have the longest spread at 6.5 for the weekend, Thursday to Sunday at 6.5. I mean, that could significantly change if Luka does go in. We can anticipate him not being 100%, but do you think there's a benefit in taking a pick right now leading up to that game?
Yeah, I think it's funny because I was trying to look at props for this game. I don't know. It's saying he's 50-50. So it's hard to, figure out what to do. If you like the Mavericks, I would say take the money line right now. I don't love the Mavericks tonight. And it's not anything about Luka. It's they just got a big win. Do I think the Mavericks are a good team? I think the Mavericks are a good team, but I think the Jazz are a better team. The 6.5 is a little steep, but I think if Luka plays, he's only going to play like 10, 15 minutes. So the thing is for me is if Luka does play, I want Jalen Brunson's under because that's going to be inflated a little bit. And I want to take his under whatever it's at because I don't see Jalen Brunson putting up 40 again. Will he put up maybe 10 or 15? Maybe. But it'll probably be about 17.5, I would say. And especially if Luka doesn't play, it's probably going to be higher. And I think if Luka doesn't play, I'll still take Brunson's under and hope Dinwiddie goes off.
Yeah, in game 1, when the series opened up, it was at that 9 point, I believe. They're saying, if Luka is out, the spread could go back up to 9, 8.5, 8. There's still benefit in taking them, I think, at that point. Getting it at those odds better. I like the money line too, just because if he does get in there, it's significantly better. But they were able to pull off a win without him.
Right.
So yeah. Do you think that they're like, how are you going to attack this game? There's a big question mark in it, but I see value in leaning towards Mavs either way this goes, just because of how the odds can change once it's announced.
Yeah, this game's a toughy one for me because it's kind of the same thing with last night with the Raptors and Sixers. I didn't love that game because everyone was on the Raptors and I just didn't see them winning. So I actually waited until maybe the third, fourth quarter to hit the Sixers live. That's kind of how I see with this game. The line just doesn't. I think the Jazz win, so I don't love the Mavericks, and I think even if Luka plays, I just don't love the value. I think if you like the Mavericks, take the Mavericks money line right now. Just why not? Because if Luka does play, it's probably gonna go down to probably like 4.5 or whatever it's gonna be. I'm going to probably wait and see what happens and maybe get the Jazz maybe middle of halftime. I'm going to watch the game flow. I'm going to like props in this game for sure. I think I want Brunson's under. That's kind of where I'm at with this game is the under for Brunson is something it kind of happens because I think every time someone goes off like that, everyone's going to jump to that and they're going to inflate the line and I'm going to take the under and I'm going to have a good night because I just don't see him going off again. Especially if Luka plays. If Luka plays, then I feel even better about it. That's why I wish it was up now. I could see it and take it, but they're going to wait.
Yeah, that game 1 was a lot slower. It was a lot of defense, low scoring. Game 2 saw a little bit more offense as both teams pushed harder towards the basket. But at 210, does that seem too low for you? I know you're taking the under, but it seems a little. I hate taking them too low.
It seems low. That does seem really low. I mean, I would probably lean the over 210.5. I like the over. I like the over in this game. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, do you like the over in this game? I do like the over, but I do look at how the first few games went, and it was defense on both sides, and that's where I get concerned. I probably won't take. If I take the total, I'd probably take the over just because it's low. I think it's too low for me in general. You think if they announce Luka and it'll go high, it'll go to like 212, 213, 214?
I think maybe the highest would be like 218, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
we just don't know what kind of Luka we're going to get. That's my question.
Or the Mavericks just saying, we're going to maybe play them, then they don't play them. That happens a lot.
I really don't think they will play him because
I don't think they will
I'm hearing. Yeah, I used to work with the Mavs. I got a lot of folks over there. It sounds like they don't want to risk it on him. They just see re-injury happening so much that the consensus is that one game will not determine his playability.
And I think even more so that the fact that the Mavericks just won a game, that I think if they were down 0-2 would be a completely different scenario. But they did win game 2.
Otherwise, but they're saying, the look at the series won't change if they're looking at Luka independently of all that. But it's just he's so
I would sit him. I would probably sit him the next 2 games, to be honest. But then, I don't know.
They're going to go all out and try to reclaim a series if they go.
Do you think that teams in this situation look ahead and be like, I know this is weird to say, but like, are we going to win an NBA championship this year? Probably not.
I just know how competitive everyone is at this level, and you're always playing for it.
Yeah.
Although it didn't look that way with the Lakers and LeBron sitting out, and which is surprising from someone like LeBron who is very competitive. I just know how these guys they operate, and they just all they see is the finals. I think that even in the first game of the year, they're looking at playing for the finals. So that goes kind of back to the Nets, where I think a sense of defeat was just overwhelming, maybe for KD and Kyrie, because it really is all of them. So, I can't imagine how much is on Luka's shoulders right now, and being injured, being out, that would probably really hard to deal with. But I was considering Bucks and Bulls. I definitely think Bucks will sweep, but I was wondering, would there be a way? Well, the Bulls just won last night, but I was wondering if they would ease up on Giannis, their guy, and see, because it was supposed to be a very easy series. This last night changes things, but I was wondering if they would maybe ease back and see if, because of the way last year went when he got hurt late into the playoffs, and he rallied through it, but Dallas is handling it differently. Luka, even him himself said that he won't, no matter how competitive he is, he doesn't want to play through it, is what the whole team is saying. So
he's making the smart decision. And the funny thing is now they're probably going to lose Brunson next year because of how good he's playing. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't know. Speaking of the Bulls Bucks thing, last night, I liked how the Bulls played. Not saying the Bulls are going to win the series, but they looked pretty good. I think, and I had the Bulls plus 10.5, and I even said before the game, but pretty much after the first quarter, I said, because I was so locked in. I don't like how these games are, so it's hard to watch. I barely watched the Sixers game because the Celtics were on the whole time, so it's hard. But when I started watching the Bucks game, I was like, the Bucks going to win. The Bulls going to win this game. I snagged them, I think, plus 380 or something on the money line. But I like this Bulls team. I think they're going to look good next year. I think they still have a shot in the series, but I mean, I think the Bucks are easily going to win the series.
They drew the worst draw you can against the Bucks, just the way these matchups have gone. But the Bulls were a lot stronger earlier this season, and they fell.
Yeah.
They fell.
Yeah,
and
they fell off.
Draw.
Right. They fell because, I mean, you saw Alonzo go down, and Levine was hurt a bunch. And I still think he's making his way back. He hasn't been Zach LaVine in this series. He played okay last night. The Bulls got a tough draw, but it's hard in the Eastern Conference because you got especially this year, you have the Sixers, the Bulls, the Celtics, the Bucks, the Nets. I mean, the Raptors, yeah, but I'd say the Sixers got the best draw with the Raptors.
Okay, that's good to hear because all the money earlier on was going towards Toronto. I've been high on Philly ever since they got Harden. I don't know why there was so much talk about Toronto. I think it's
last night, unbelievable amount of people were on the Raptors.
Well, it was its close game, but the way Embiid finished it was remarkable.
MVP, I think, and I've said it for the past couple months.
Good to hear. Good to hear. I've been screaming this from the mountaintops. Why is Embiid not MVP?
You got me on that one. I don't know. I don't like the awards. You know, I never understood the awards because even not only MVP, I disagree with the most improved player award. I'm seeing John Moran is going to be the most improved player. Was he not good last year? And you look at
he's been in the MVP conversation this year.
Yeah, but most improved Jordan Poole. That's kind of where I'm thinking. I'm like,
or maybe his role, but Poole, it was more so his role developed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess like, from a really good player to a star player. Yeah,
more. That's how I look at Poole. Did he improve or was he just being put in the opportunity more? You know, I think that has a lot to do with it.
That's a good take.
Wish that we could hear from the players themselves. Who would get the players' vote?
I think Embiid would win MVP.
Embiid, you said?
I think Embiid would win MVP if the players were voting. Yeah.
I understand why Jokic is like the most significant one on his team until they got Harden, and Embiid definitely was too, but it just helped him out, I feel like. But I mean, to be the first center since Shaq to be the leading scorer in the league, he was I think in minus odds like at the All-Star break. And then all of a sudden it flipped completely over.
Did Jokic like break some kind of record or something? Now I can't remember what it was, but I feel like he broke some kind of record. I don't know what it was.
I know he's definitely the first center since Shaq to be the leading scorer. Which
Embiid?
Yeah, which is still a big deal. Yeah. Maybe that's a record in how many years, or how many points he put up. But
Embiid he's a really good player. I think I actually feel they're playing the Raptors, so it's hard, and there's no Scotty Barnes and whatnot. They're playing good basketball, but the Sixers look pretty good. I think they look better coming in than I thought they would. They're up 3-0. I think they're obviously probably gonna, which I don't know. I think they're gonna sweep, but I am kind of scared to take Sixers. I'm gonna be honest.
Really?
Yeah, because I feel like
for the series.
No. I'm talking about for Game 4.
Okay.
I'm talking about Game 4. I want to take the Sixers, but I feel like in certain spots like this, a team like the Raptors will play super, super, super hard and maybe grab a game. And especially after that game with Embiid hitting the game winner, a lot of money is going to go on the Sixers. A lot of people are going to go bet the sweep, and then the Raptors will come in and win the game. That's kind of how things happen.
I mean, the Raptors basically should have won that game.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah. Once it went to overtime,
will go on Toronto because of that. They're back in Toronto. It was a very close game. They lost it. I mean, Embiid won. I don't know. So what do you think? Do you think Embiid won it at the end, or do you think the Raptors lost it?
I don't know, because I feel like when the game
wasn't in a position that late in the game, but like who would have thought?
It's hard because when the game went to overtime, I was like, okay, Sixers won the game. I was texting everybody, I was like, Sixers won the game. We're good. Sixers money line. I think the Raptors lost it in regulation and Embiid won it in overtime. That's kind of how I feel. It's kind of like a 50-50 thing. Yeah, I'd say the Raptors, they lost their chance going into overtime. Because when you're a team like that and you're not the better team and you go to overtime, it's kind of all the pieces fell. Like we're going into a fifth quarter and we were supposed to win the fourth, and now Embiid's going to cook us. And what did he do? He cooked them. I like Doc Rivers. I think he's okay. That was a pretty good call at the end of the game.
Yeah, I want Kevin Rogers to jump in right now. He before we jumped on recording, he didn't want to give Doc Rivers the credit.
No, he didn't.
Hey, there he is. There he is.
All I'm saying is, the Raptors kind of fell into that, and they're probably going to throw it to Embiid in the post. No, they're going to give it to him on the 3-point line and give him a three.
Let's hear it, Kevin.
No, listen, guys. This is my take on it, okay? My take is Doc panicked. Let me center myself here. Doc panicked and called the timeout with 9/10 of a second left in the shot clock. Embiid was in no man's land by half court. And then he draws up a play to get it to Embiid, but Embiid's an all-world player, was able to make that shot.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I don't want to say Doc was so brilliant.
Right.
Doc panicked, and Embiid bailed him out. Yes, they stopped the play to then get a fresh with a second to go. But it was a great shot. But
it
Toronto
was a great shot.
A bunch of free throws. And, look, bad law. Like, they're not winning that series. If they win that game, they're down 2-1. But you're down 3-0. Forget it. Pull the plug on
it's over.
Like, you're done.
Yeah. Pretty much.
How many threes did Embiid make that night?
Last night?
Yeah, like I have a stat sheet pulled up right here. It doesn't have threes though, but for points though, Harden had 19, Embiid had 33. I mean, I don't know why I downplay that. That's still a good number, but
Embiid had a great game.
Yeah.
But it's funny because you look at
double.
How many points did Maxey have?
19.
Did he? I think he had a bad first half because I was watching. I was trying to pay attention to the game a little bit, and I was noticing that Maxey had a terrible first quarter, terrible first half. That's how I thought. I was like, oh, well, Maxey's not going to do that every game. So coming into the next series, I think they're probably going to get Heat or Hawks. It's going to be interesting to see how the Sixers match up with I think the Heat win. So I'll say Sixers Heat. Match up with the Heat's defense. That's going to be a good series, I think.
But so I'm so high on Sixers, but I kind of do like Raptors for this next game. I'm looking right now, and they had 5 guys in double digits.
Yeah. 3
that broke 20. And the Sixers, it was Embiid, and then Maxey Harden had just under 20.
I think I don't know what the status of Scotty Barnes is. He's probably out for the whole series, right? I'm pretty sure. I don't know for a fact, but yeah, I kind of lean the plus 2.5 on the Raptors for this next game, Game 4.
Would you take him outright?
I love plus monies, so
I know, right?
I'll probably usually when I take a spread like that, I'll sprinkle the money line like a half unit. But I think the Raptors are gonna hold their own, especially in Toronto on a game that they're not getting sent home in Toronto. Close.
I don't think that they would let it slip away. They're beating themselves up at the way it finished last night.
And I think I was telling someone last night, I was watching the end of the game. I think people forget how good of a defender Thibault is. I mean, that's a big loss, especially with the Sixers don't really have much of a bench. So missing a guy like that is actually pretty significant.
And I'll ask you this though. I mean, the Sixers get to the line more than any other team.
Yeah.
Do you think? I mean, because no one can defend Embiid. He'll get to the line, and he gets a lot of points at the charity stripe. Do you credit that for their offense, the way they can get to the line?
I mean, they get to the line a whole lot. So you've got to limit somehow. And you can't really stop Embiid. You got to limit Embiid. I don't know how you limit him from the free throw line. The only way I see the Raptors win these games is they've got to get turnovers and score in transition and hit their threes. They're not going to stop Embiid in the post. They're not going to limit the free throws because Embiid's a magician in the paint getting to the line. And then you got James Harden, who that's all he does is get to the line.
Yeah.
So I don't have that's very difficult. I don't know how they limit. And Doc Rivers, I mean, you can't really give him much credit.
Said too in the post game, He was like, "Stop bleeping about
yeah.
calls."
He went to he told him on the sideline. He was like, yeah, I told him to stop beeping about calls.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
Yeah,
But
because you can't stop him.
yeah, that's true. Do you think he gets whiny? Do you think he whines for his some calls sometimes?
I think everybody gets whiny.
True.
I think every NBA player cries about calls. There's definitely a couple. LeBron James. Different people. I mean, I'm not. If anyone who knows me knows I'm not the biggest LeBron James guy, so of course
crying about foul getting calls. The first person I think everyone thinks of is LeBron.
Because
there's like memes about it and things like that.
Well, because people like LeBron and certain other players like that, and Kevin Durant and different players, they're expecting those calls.
Yeah.
So when they don't get them, they're gonna cry. Different players, role players who don't get calls, they shouldn't expect them.
Yeah.
Stars get the calls they want. And when LeBron's not getting them, or Kevin Durant or Embiid's not getting them, they're going to cry about it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. This series is interesting. I think the Raptors plus 2.5 is a good bet. I think that's probably what I'll take. And I'll probably sprinkle in money line. I think the Sixers win the series, but when you're up 3-0 like that, you kind of come out lackadaisical, especially on the road. They'll come out kind of sloppy. So I think the Raptors, if they can somehow take advantage of the Sixers' mistakes early in the game, I think the Raptors can win it for sure.
Do you like any props in that game?
I would probably. I was looking. I think OG.
Early.
Yeah, it's a little early, but usually you can find certain starters. I think OG was over 16.5 points last night. I like OG. I think he's the key for them, especially with no Scotty Barnes. And I would lean Freddie VanVleet's over threes. Okay. He's got to hit his threes. He's got to score. Siakam will do his thing, and I've said multiple times about players like Siakam and stars for the team. There's not much they can do. It's the people around them, like OG and Gary Trent, Freddie VanVleet from three. Those guys have to step up and wins. Siakam's going to get double guarded in the paint, and he's going to do what he can do. But I don't usually love taking props for guys like that, because especially like Kevin Durant, like his props haven't hit because it's the other guys. Like if you're trying to bet Nets last night, you got to take Bruce Brown over points. You got to take Seth Curry. Those guys are going to be the guys hitting props. Kevin Durant, his props are going to be so high that I'm going to take his under every time. Yeah. Maybe not game 3 though. Maybe not game 3.
Yeah, I'm continuously checking to see if there's any news on Luka, but I do see news on Ben Simmons. I know we were talking about it before we jumped on.
Yep.
How does this change the matchup for you? I know you're high on Celtics, but
for sure.
But maybe this could open things up. He's not. I wouldn't rely on Ben Simmons to make some shots, but he can defend. So maybe that'll slow down the Nets or the Celtics a little bit.
This could be a biased opinion, but I think it actually makes sense a little bit. Ben Simmons coming back, it helps them for sure defensively, but he's still a liability on offense. He might have picked up some kind of 3-point shot in the past 10 months he hasn't played because we don't even know. But it's a liability. And now if you put Simmons and Claxton on the floor together, if I'm the Celtics, I'm just going to hack them all day. Put them on the free throw line.
So the addition of Simmons makes you lean even more in favor of the Celtics.
I wouldn't say more in favor. I would say there's pros and cons for the Sixers and Celtics having Simmons on the floor. I think defensively, the Celtics are probably going to have trouble getting the ball to Tatum more. I think they're going to have to lean more on Smart and Brown because they're going to put Simmons on Tatum for sure. In that case, the Celtics are going to have to make some adjustments. But for the Nets offensively, you're putting a guy on the floor that can't shoot, and what you're struggling with right now in the first 2 games is shooting. They're averaging 106.5 points per game in the first 2 games. I just don't know. It struggles for me I don't know. I think that kind of hurts them. The only way that they can do it is they can't have them both on the floor at the same time. Simmons and Claxton. You can't have that.
Something needs to happen in Brooklyn, and I don't think Ben Simmons is that. I can see something happening for the Nets. I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I think that the Nets will get back in this. I wouldn't rely on Ben Simmons to be the reason for that, though.
Yeah, I think the series is far from over, obviously, but the Nets have to win Game 3. The Nets don't win Game 3, they can go join LeBron in Cancun because it's over.
Well, didn't LeBron come back from an 0-3 down 0-3 at one point?
There's a complete
I love when you reference LeBron in any scenario. He did it for Ohio, so I like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think this Celtics team has showed that they're for real and they're a title contender because they have the defense to do it. I think they have one of the best starting lineups in the playoffs.
Let me ask you this. Do you think whoever comes out of that series will be in the finals or the Eastern Conference Championship?
I would love to see the Celtics in the finals. I think the Celtics, because obviously the Celtics beat the Nets, it'll be Celtics Bucks. That will be a one-of-a-kind series. I'm going to stick with what I said before the playoffs. Biased or non-biased, it's going to be Celtics Warriors in the finals.
Wow. Okay. When did you jump on that? Because at All-Star break, I had Sixers and Suns. Well, I'm sticking with it, but I can't deny Bucks.
This is going to be hard to believe, but
it's packed right now.
This is going to be hard to believe, but I had the Warriors winning the final. Well, I had the Warriors winning the finals before the season started. I put a future on them. I think they're the best team. I said it before the season started, but even during the season, a lot of people were like, "Oh, well, this and that, Suns, Grizzlies."
We just need to see Warriors healthy is the thing. So we can go back to the West now, looking up at their matchup with the Nuggets. Do you think that they could be a dark horse here? Like, do you think that I know Jokic is the guy on his he's the only guy on his team, really.
Right. Yeah,
then the Warriors, they're well-rounded. They got plenty of guys, but I think their three best players played a total of 12 minutes together in the regular season.
Right.
So I mean, which team would you rather be on? One that's banged up and has loaded with guys, or
I think the
projected
Warriors
MVP at this point?
Right. I think the Warriors, I mean, they're going to win this series for sure. I mean, the Nuggets are dead.
Thank you.
the Nuggets are so far, and I think it was maybe a couple weeks ago. I was listening on you guys with Devin and Tommy Freeze, and they were all over the Nuggets.
Thank you. I was the lone soldier with the Nuggets. I hit out at them. I'm like, hey, how are your Nuggets now, guys?
I saw that. I liked that. That was hilarious.
Thank you.
I hit up Devin. I was
2-on-1 there.
I was like, the Nuggets. They kept saying the best player. I mean, Jokic is a very good player. I like Nikola Jokic. I think he's a very good player, but he's not a guy to where he can just take over a game by himself. That's not the kind of player he is. He can't, because the game has changed to where you've got to be a crazy good athletic wing that can hit threes if you're a good player to take over a game. He's not that, and the Nuggets don't have anybody to help him out. I mean, Aaron Gordon's been nodding. I mean, I've taken Aaron Gordon was 7 straight games over his points and rebounds in the last 7 games. But these last 2 games of the playoffs, he's not hit it. I've been getting burned by Aaron Gordon. Not doing that again. Aaron Gordon, he's just not playoff ready. Neither is Jeff Green. Neither is Will Barton. They're dead. The Warriors are going to sweep this series, and they're going to go drink their drinks and wait for their next opponent, because the Warriors look unbeatable at the moment in time. They look unbeatable. They and I said it during the season. They were just waiting. I mean, they had Steph a little banged up, not going to rush him back. They had Clay banged up early in the season. They were kind of working him back, not going to bring him back too fast. Draymond Green was hurt probably most of the season. I feel like I saw him more on TNT than I did in the games. I mean, they were just waiting for him to come back. I just felt like the Warriors kind of were just trying to get everyone healthy at the right time. Time is now. Warriors, if my Celtics don't get in the way, the Warriors are going to win their next championship this year.
Yeah. There's a prop on Draymond Green at 7.5 assists. I do like the under on that one. He's only gone the over in assists in just 2 of his past 16 games since, throughout the regular season. So I kind of like that, with the way that they're all in there too. That would be a pick I'd take in that game. I see the value in taking Nuggets plus 1.5, but
I think it's 2.5.
Oh, see, so let's see the updated. Yep. So we have 2.5 now. MGM has different odds. At least they did in that total earlier. But even if it was 1.5, I don't know. With the value, I think would have been with the Nuggets there. But
yeah, I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people are going to be on the Nuggets tonight, and
I think so too. I was fighting the lone fight on saying no to the Nuggets.
And I can tell you what, those guys will be on them too for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you think that the Warriors are the new threat in the West then?
I mean, I think
they weren't sneaky about it. I mean, we were all expecting this, but
I'll say, I mean, yeah, because you got to look at the Suns and what they're going through. I think they're the best team in the West. I think the Warriors are the best team in the West. And even tonight, I mean, Steph Curry had a great game last game. I think tonight it's a Klay Thompson night. It's a night where he's going to hit 7 or 8 threes. He had 19 the first game, 21 the second game. I like his over 22.5 points tonight. And I like Jordan Poole's under 22.5 points tonight. I think it's going to flip-flop. I think a lot of attention will be on Jordan Poole. Open up some shots for Klay Thompson. Give me Klay Thompson's over 22.5 points. And give me Warriors minus 2.5. That's kind of what I'm rolling with.
Yeah, I would lean towards Warriors too. They've covered the spread in each of their past 3 games and in 7 of their past 8. So I've leaned towards Warriors. I liked them at the All-Star break before they kind of went downhill after that. Just seeing how Steph played, putting up all those threes, getting All-Star MVP. But then they took a turn. I think we all expected them to get back on track in the playoffs. They don't like the hiatus they've been on. And I do feel like I don't like to have think about the recency bias with the Suns that were just in the playoffs, but they struggled in the playoffs at the end of it. You know, it was theirs to lose. Chris Paul was MVP at least until the third game, I think. So I feel more confident in the way the Warriors would perform late into the playoffs than I would with the Suns.
Yeah, I think the Warriors, they're in a zone that in some points in it for a team you can't get out of. And I think the Warriors are in that zone where I don't care who comes in, you're not getting them out of that zone. I mean, the way they shoot the basketball, you've got to score 130 points with them. And the Nuggets are averaging, I think it's 107 in the first 2 games. The Warriors are going to score 120. So it's very difficult and I do feel bad. I mean, we saw last week game when Jokic got frustrated. I feel bad for Jokic.
Oh, I totally feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think if you're the coach of the Nuggets and he's got to sit down with Jokic and say, you know, we're gonna keep grinding, we're gonna keep trying, but look what we got next year. I mean, you're gonna get your guys back, and we're gonna regroup, and I think next year they're gonna be a very, very, very good team. If they get Murray and Porter back healthy, you know, don't bring them back too early. Let them get in the offseason, you know, get the work in. I'm not worried about the Nuggets, but they got to step back and let the Warriors do their thing because this is a sweep waiting to happen.
Who would be your dark horse in the West?
Timberwolves.
Yep,
I think the Timberwolves.
Would they be considered a dark horse? I mean,
they're a 7 seed.
Yeah, but they're looking to be the team that everyone's leaning towards.
Yeah, I know. That's what I didn't like about the Timberwolves, that they're so popular as an underdog.
I'm surprised by that because I feel like Jazz and Grizzlies were the teams that were the dark horses earlier in the season, but then everyone got hot on Grizzlies.
This could move us over into the next game. I'll give you a dark horse. It's the Pelicans. I think they're in a good spot. And I picked the Suns earlier to win this series, but I mean, if anyone follows me on Twitter, I mean, when Booker went down, I slammed Pelicans plus 225.
I definitely, when the odds changed, we were on the air. If you saw the one with Devin and Tommy Freeze Pops, we saw the news and we immediately jumped in, and because we saw the odds change on the air. Right. So we all made a parlay that we went with, and Devin chose Pelicans to cover 1.5. But okay, so for the West, your dark horse would be Timberwolves, even though I feel like they're becoming like a fan fave right now.
I would say give me the Timberwolves, but Give me the Pelicans as well. I think the Pelicans win this
What if
series.
Luka gets in? What if Luka's in?
If Luka's
my
in,
concern with them is like, what are they playing for? Like you kind of asked earlier, the Mavs. Like, should Luka risk re-injury for this?
No, Pelicans. I got the Pelicans.
Right, but I was trying to make an argument for the Mavs.
Oh, you think the Mavs? I mean, if
Luka's in, if he's available, at whatever percentage of health he's at, would they be a dark horse in your head?
I don't know. Hamstring, those injuries are serious. I think if Luka comes back, it's not going to be 100%. I don't know. It's tough. I think a lot of people are forgetting Tim Hardaway Jr. is not there either. They just don't have the scoring. And Dinwiddie hasn't shown. And I think the problem is when Luka comes back, I mean, you got 3 point guards on the floor. I just don't know how that works. The team, the roster they have just doesn't seem to mesh into a team that I think can win a series. That's kind of where it falls for me. They got Brunson, they got Dinwiddie, and they got Luka, but then they got Finney-Smith, Powell, and Kleber. It just seems like they're missing that ultimate wing piece that they don't have. That's kind of what, and I've been saying that for a while. When they gave up Kristaps, I was like, they need to get someone back. They need to get a wing defender. They don't have it. They have their only wing defender is Finney-Smith, who I think is great. You know, I love great Florida Gator back in the day. They just don't have that Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, a guy that I think would work good for them. And this is off-season talking. Jeremy Grant would be great for the Mavericks. That's what I think he would be great for the Mavericks.
They need some reinforcements, I think, to be a deep playoff team. But yeah, we're basically looking at all these teams, and we're looking at the stars, but it really does kind of rely on that. That's how we saw the Warriors just go on a finals run for years because they were an all-star team. They just loaded up. That's why I was so in favor of the Bucks last year, because Giannis even said it. I didn't have to change teams or recruit all these all-stars. Right. They were like the rugged individuals. They were the ones that like fought through for the smaller market city. So do you think they'll have a repeat?
I think they've got a good chance. I said,
who's your favorite in the East at this point?
I think this is what I'll give you. I'll say the winner. Let's say if the Bucks beat the Bulls and Celtics beat the Nets, I think the winner of Celtics Bucks will be in the finals. That's kind of my favorites are Warriors, Celtics, Bucks. Those are the 3 teams I think can win a championship.
Okay, so I mean, Miami has been the leader of the East.
Yeah.
Do you think that I'm going to go through some real or fake news and let's see. I have a couple bullets for you. My first one was he is legit. Are they legit? The Hawks aren't looking like last year's playoff Hawks, but
are the Heat legit?
They led the East the majority of this season.
Are the Heat legit? No. I don't think the Heat are legit because they're playing the Hawks, they're playing good basketball. I just feel like, Bam hasn't really played well. I haven't seen anything from him in this series to show me that he's a legit defender, a legit guy that can guard a guy like Giannis or guard a guy like Tatum. I just feel like when they get into this kind of series, I think they don't. I mean, Jimmy Butler, he's a great player. I like Jimmy Butler a lot, but he gets into a zone where I feel like there are games where he can have an off game. I just feel like they don't have. I feel like they're missing something because Kyle Lowry, he's a great defender, but he hasn't scored over 10 points this series yet. They're just missing something. I don't know what it is, but I don't think they're a team that can beat a team like the Bucks or Celtics.
Yeah. So right now I'm looking at the odds to win the East. Celtics with the shortest odds plus 225. Not far behind them is the Heat at plus 227. They are going through the Hawks. Celtics have been through the Nets. Looking at the way the series has gone so far for the Celtics, do you think that's a better bet?
I think the Celtics, and it's interesting going into the playoffs, and when the playoffs started and everyone was like, oh, the Celtics could get the Nets. Celtics didn't duck anybody. the Bucks kind of did in a sense, and they got the Bulls, which now they're in a tied series. I mean, yeah, the Bucks are going to win it, but they got some work to do. Celtics didn't duck the Nets, and not only did they get the Nets, but they get to face the Bucks in the next round. So they're going to roll through their opponents in a way of Nets, Bucks, and then we get like maybe the Heat or Sixers, and we're getting the top two teams in the East. I thought the Nets and Bucks were the two teams in the East that no one wanted to play. Celtics get to play them first and second if they beat the Nets. I would say the Celtics are the favorite to win the East. Yeah, they look like the best team because the Heat look good, but I mean I didn't think the Hawks should have been there. I loved the Cavs, I loved the Hornets, I loved those kind of teams. I thought the Cavs, if the Cavs would have beaten the Hawks, I think the Cavs would be looking good against the Heat. I thought they would be a good matchup for the Heat. Hawks just aren't. Because they don't have – I mean, John Collins is half healthy, so it's kind of just Trae Young just chucking the ball up in the air, and that's just not going to win a series.
Mm-hmm. Here's the interesting thing in the West. Suns and Warriors are pretty close. Suns plus 145, Warriors plus 157. But when you look at the odds to win the NBA championship, Suns and Warriors, Suns plus 300, Warriors plus 350. What do you think would be the better pick, to take finals or Western Conference championship? I think the East is going to win it, honestly. So,
you think the East wins the finals?
Yeah, because they have so much to get through. I hope that doesn't like wear them down, but the East is just loaded. I like the Bucks or the Sixers to win.
Yeah, I would lean the Warriors to win the West. I like that.
Yeah, because right. I mean, because you get like 200 more plus points if you take them to win the championship. That's the bigger reach. So I think you have better value in taking them to win the West.
Yeah, I think the Warriors to win the West is the best bet. I do agree with you. I think that if it's Celtics or Bucks, yeah, it's a good shot that the Celtics or Bucks could win the finals. But I still think the Warriors to win the finals is a decent bet as well. I'd probably. And I do, looking at my futures, I've got Warriors to win the finals, Celtics to win the finals, Celtics to win the East, Warriors to win the West. So those are the futures I have right now. I'm all in on the Celtics and Warriors.
Yep.
That's kind of how I feel. I like the Bucks, but it's hard because I think the Celtics can beat them.
To go that's kind of why I fade the Suns a little bit, because they were in the finals last year, getting back there and then winning it. I think I feel more confident in taking the Bucks to win it all than to have the Suns do it.
Oh well, I'm all out on the Suns. I didn't love the Suns going into the playoffs, but now you look at a series with the Pelicans where, I don't know about you, but I think Devin Booker is the most important player to that team. Chris Paul is great, but I think that the Suns are going to struggle. And we're going to see in this next game, if the Pelicans can win this next game, I would put the Suns in trouble, because those injuries aren't minor. I think if Devin Booker even comes back in this series, he's not going to be 100%. So I would lean Pelicans to win the series, and that kind of takes the Suns out of consideration for me.
Yeah. All right. So going back to real or fake news, is it time for the Suns to panic?
Yeah, I 100% think that it's time for the Suns to panic. But I'll say a half panic. If they lose this next game, full panic mode, because you look at a team, they're going to have guys like Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson. They've got to step up. I mean, you take Devin Booker, who's a 30-point scorer, out of the game. The problem for me, if this was any other matchup, like if they were playing anyone else, maybe it'd be different. But you look at the series and look at the teams. I think the Pelicans are the two best scorers on the floor.
Do you think that they could win the series against the Suns?
I think Pelicans win the series.
I think they're a better dark horse than the Timberwolves at this point. Then
yes, I think the Pelicans take the Timberwolves out of consideration. Pelicans are my dark horse now. It's just kind of weird, kind of off to say because now Devin Booker's out and it's easy for me to say that. But I think the Pelicans are the 2 best scorers on the floor at all times now. Chris Paul is a great player, not a better scorer than McCollum or Ingram, just based on complete scoring.
He led the league in assists
Right.
for the most of it. I don't know if he finished it that way, but he's an impact player, though.
Yeah,
so like,
and it's going to be hard because now he's have to be that player. He has to score now.
The other thing, though, is we did see that, like, whenever one of the guys went out, Devin or Chris Paul, they would still win favorably, even if one of them was out, though. But to continue that through the playoffs, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's gonna. I think this is a series where Ingram's got to say, "I'm the guy." You know, it goes back to being, let go traded by the Lakers, and he's been through a lot. But he's a good player. I mean, he's definitely a top-tier player in this league, and it's going to show. And now he gets a guy like CJ McCollum, to where if I'm Damian Lillard, I'm sitting there like, oh, this sucks.
I know.
This sucks. I
feel for Dame.
I got to watch another guy take my Robin through the playoffs because I was Batman. But now you got Ingram being Batman, and I think Batman and Robin are going to win this series.
Kevin and I talked about this the other day. When you leave a team and you're that city's guy, like when LeBron left, I made the argument, Ingrid O'Hara, they were burning Miami jersey or his jersey and everything like that. They were covering up his murals and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that what Dame has done for Portland, I think if he were to leave, I don't think he would have hate. I think that he gave so much to Portland that he wouldn't have that kind of.
No, there's guys like that where, look at Giannis, where he was thinking.
He didn't win them. He didn't win it for them. He didn't win them a finals, but I still think that he would. I still think that the fan base would, but if he left and went to a team that won the finals, I still don't think Portland would turn on him.
There's always going to be stuff like that, though. I feel like whenever a player like that leaves a team,
it's like Matt Stafford. Detroit was rooting for him in the Super Bowl.
Right. Well. I think
that's the only way they can win a Super Bowl is they're their own quarterback.
It's funny you say that because I feel like that's a good comparison you made where it's Damian Lillard and Matthew Stafford.
Root for.
Right, because it's as much as LeBron was in the Cavs, like they could have won with him. I don't think Portland can win with Damian Lillard.
I am curious if Portland fans are rooting for McCollum now.
They have to be.
Yeah.
They have to be.
I think he's great. I think he definitely has a good fan base.
I think I think the Pelicans have a good team rolling. I mean, they get Zion back or not.
Zion back.
I'm not the biggest Zion guy. Never have been. I just don't think. I don't know. I don't get the whole situation. It's kind of the situation with Ben Simmons. What is Zion doing? I don't get he's injured, but I mean, I feel like I saw him 2 weeks ago just do like a windmill dunk in warmups.
Yeah, didn't they see him back in town and stuff?
Yeah, so why isn't he? I'm confused with that situation.
Right, I know.
But I think the Pelicans, they got a good young team. I think McCollum and Ingram, and I love.
Who do you like better, Pelicans or Grizzlies? Young teams.
For the future, or for the playoff, for like right now.
For the future, I would say. Or how about the playoffs because we have to look at their matchups, but. I like the Grizzlies. I think they're well rounded.
Yeah,
they do have John Morant, but I think they got guys everywhere.
Yeah, I would probably.
They have that guy that we've been talking about with playoffs. They all have that one guy. Like, and any playoff team we're talking about, they all have their guy, or they have a duo, even better. But they have a guy, but they also have a full rounded team.
Yeah, I like John Morant. I do like John Morant, which is it's hard for me to root against him in this series.
You don't like it for most improved, but
well, I never understood the most improved player thing because like he was good last year. Like he's gotten a lot better, but Jordan Poole got more opportunities. So much to do
with your team and how you're used, like
because also you got to look at Darius Garland in Cleveland.
Yeah,
how is he not most improved player? So. The awards, they are what they are. I don't really love the awards because I would love to give him
I've seen so many guys I've covered, like J.K. Dobbins and Jonathan Taylor, for example.
Yeah,
Ohio State would get so many awards,
yep.
And so we always thought the Big Ten had to spread out the awards so that it wasn't all Ohio State. So he always felt snubbed because JT would always get the he was the running back. He was drafted.
Right.
He's their guy. And then he was hurt this year. And then we see Jonathan Taylor go off and JK just sitting back, recovering. And I know it heats them up. I know like it infuriates them. Like, and I swear every single weekend, Chase Young would ask me, are they still talking about the Boses? Are they still talking about the Boses? Like in the press box, like
right.
They care. They definitely care how, whenever they're being compared to each other, how things go. They definitely pay attention to that.
Yeah. I would love to see Embiid win MVP. I mean, I don't want to see Jokic win
Totally
again.
deserves it, especially because he gets banged up usually, and he powered through this
Right.
season.
He did. And yeah, he got hardened, but he had to work through a lot of stuff in the beginning of the season.
I feel like the fact that he got Harden and he's still the MVP guy, Harden even was vocal about like, hey, he deserves it. I think that even adds more value that you can be the most like valuable player on your team, even with a James Harden on your team.
Right.
I think that helps him more than when you compare him to Jokic, because Jokic is the only guy on his team. I think it's kind of
exactly.
It's easier that way, but originally I thought, okay, well, this might take away from what Embiid is doing. No, I definitely think it helped him out significantly, and to be MVP considered, like to be the candidate really, when you got another guy on your team like James Harden, I think that gives you more value for MVP.
I'm sitting here before, because we're gonna wrap this up probably soon. I got a parlay that I just cooked up for tonight, and I'm all over it.
Let's hear it.
Timberwolves.
Wrap it up with this parlay right here.
Rapid parlay, and you might be a fan of it. Timberwolves money line, Jazz money line, and Golden State Warriors money line plus 400. I think all three of those teams win tonight.
Plus 400.
I think as much as Luka might come back and the spread looks nice, Jazz are going to win tonight. They're not going to go down 2-1 to the Mavs. And I think Timberwolves take care of business at home, and I think the Warriors,
they're at home. That kind of sways me. I like this Grizzlies team. I do.
You do? Yeah.
I think they're young and hungry. They got star power. They're in a smaller market like Memphis. Like,
yeah. So
they're hungry. They're hungry. I love that from young teams. And I'm not worried about their playoff experience. I'm really not. I think that they're gonna show up. I feel like
this is gonna be this game tonight's gonna be big. I think a lot of it's gonna come down to, who can get out in a hurry first. Who's gonna take that first lead? I think whoever wins this game tonight's in complete control of the series. And if the Timberwolves win this game tonight, going back to Minnesota for Game 4 up 2-1, I'm gonna feel pretty good.
Whoever wins Game 4 wins it all.
You think Game 4?
Actually, no, because I seriously think if Grizzlies get down like 2 games, they'll still fight. I think that gives them. I honestly would be more confident in the Grizzlies if they're down a game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hot take.
No, I think it gives them juice. But then again, I said that about Kyrie in Boston, and it did not work in my favor. But but like you said, I felt like they looked depleted, and
they looked lackadaisical. They were psyched out of that game before the game started, I think.
I think I usually don't think the fans have a lot to do with it, but we saw the way he reacted. He just took the fine and everything like that. I think it was more like, screw it. You know what I mean? Like, I gave you my all, and it's not working.
Saturday night, 7:30. That game is going to be
getting from the Celtics was probably just the worst thing for Kyrie.
Oh yeah, and the fact they get him two years in a row, that's pretty interesting. Celtics are coming for revenge after what happened last year.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are starting to take Celtics right now. At least all my East Coasters. So.
Up 2-0, you gotta feel pretty good.
Yeah,
you gotta feel pretty good.
I don't know. I think Brooklyn's gritty, and I think it's gonna be a dogfight now here on out.
Do you think Brooklyn wins the series?
I did before the series started.
But right now, you think Brooklyn wins the series?
I think it's gonna get competitive. I don't know if they're gonna tie it up 2-2, but
yeah.
I think that they do in Game 3.
Yeah, I would.
I don't want to take a side on Game 4,
right.
But Game 3, I feel like Nets get some control. Maybe it slips away, and then I don't want to know what happens when they get back to
So you got Grizzlies. You got Grizzlies tonight. I got Timberwolves tonight. So it's going to be pretty interesting. I'm
the
pumped.
Mavs one though. I want to take Mavs to cover.
Yeah, I don't mind the Mavs to cover. I just don't see them.
Especially take it now, because if Luka does get in there,
yeah,
you get it at the.
If you like if anyone likes Mavs, you take them now. If you don't take them now, I don't know what you're doing. If you like the Mavs, because you're gonna get them. The line will probably move.
I'm definitely with you on Warriors though. Definitely.
Oh yeah, Warriors money line. Warriors -2.5.
I'm so funny you were listening and all that, because I needed someone to like jump in, and so I wasn't fighting this fight alone.
I kept that up here because Devin's been talking about the Nuggets for a while, and I keep telling him.
He always likes to take the underdog and things like that, but
he likes those. But and I last night it was funny because he likes those underdogs, and I said Bulls money line. He was like, Bulls money line.
Oh wait, I didn't hear this one.
I said
you won Bulls last night.
Yeah, so I was on Bulls plus 10.5, and we're on the spaces, and I said, Devin,
I took Nets money line last night. Did not work.
I said, Devin, take the Celtics. He's like, no, the Nets. I said, and then Devin, sprinkle the Bulls money line. I'm telling you.
Wow, I would never have taken that bet, but hey, props to you.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take advantage of lines when you see them, and when I wouldn't have taken the Bulls money line if they're not giving me plus 10.5, to where the Bulls are a good team. Those big spreads, and you're taking with the Mavericks, and I've been riding the Mavericks, but tonight I can't. Those big spreads in the playoffs, especially these competitive series, you got to take advantage of those.
If we're talking money line, I love the Sixers, but I see value in Toronto back home money line.
Yeah, I think we're both right there with.
I actually think that the Sixers would cover, but I would take Toronto to win outright.
Yeah, I think Toronto's going to be pumped up to get a game in Toronto. I don't think they want to go home on their home court. So I would take Raptors money line, Raptors spread, and then game 5, I'm going to be all over.
You take Raptors spread? See, I would take Sixers spread, but I like Toronto for.
Well, I would take Raptors spread because of what happened last night. Those kind of situations scare the crap out of me, where it's like, if they lose on a buzzer beater, hopefully there's. I would probably, if I take the Raptors spread, I'd buy the extra point to get 3.5. Based on what happened last night, because I don't want to be in that situation where I had a lot of friends bet the Raptors, and that's a heartbreaker. Those kind of games to where Embiid's hitting a step back 3 at the buzzer, and you just lost Raptors money.
I just wish everyone that cast their MVP vote is like, shoot, we messed up if they chose Jokic.
Yeah. The only thing I would say lastly is, do you think that they should? Which is hard because it's playoffs and it's different. They should wait to cast their votes until after the playoffs, but that's hard because you have playoff the person.
Yeah, because then an MVP would have to get maybe a little bit selfish and be like, I'm going all out in this regular season.
Yeah,
and
yeah, I don't know. I would say
honestly, at that point, if I was a voter, I would backpedal and be like, no, you're not the most valuable, because you got to be a team player to be an MVP. And if you're going all out at the end of the regular season when you already have a good spot for the playoffs, then I would probably backpedal. I'd be like, oh, there's no I in team.
Yeah, I think
Kobe would say there's a me in that.
Yep. I think we're both on the same page with the Embiid MVP. I think he deserves it. He won't get it, but he deserves it. And then probably John Morant's going to win Most Improved. Don't agree on that. And then, Defensive Player of the Year was easy for Marcus Smart. That was easy. I just hope Tatum gets all NBA first team. That's what I'm waiting for. If he doesn't get that, I'm off. I'm done with the awards.
But so are you not a Kyrie fan because of the Celtics beef?
Well,
like, would you be yelling at him if you were at that game?
I'm not that kind of person. I
don't get it.
I respect the players. Do I not like Kyrie? I don't love Kyrie because I think
Kyrie. I love him.
You love Kyrie? I just think those kind of players, I have a list. I have a list of my top 5 most hated players in the league, and he's on there because of the way he acts. Anyone else, I feel like, would not act the way he acted. It's a playoff game. You're in Boston. What do you expect? I mean,
I like that we saw the real him, though. I like the realness of his reaction.
But here's the thing, and I would have respected him more if he did it again last night, but he didn't. he didn't because he got fined $50,000.
I like that he got composed and was like, all right, it boiled up to this, but hey, I'm gonna compose it. And I wish he balled out. I just wish that he really showed him and shut him up with his play instead of.
It was interesting to see though
behind him.
with because I was curious. First quarter, he went out of the game because he's doing the Ramadan thing where he went and got food. I think it was the middle of the first quarter. The sun had gone down, so that's interesting. I respect him for that. He's playing through that, so got to show respect where respect's due. But he's playing my Celtics, so not a fan of him right now.
Taking Nets at home, game 3. All right, that does it today, guys. Good luck with your bets. Let us know if you're joining us in our picks tonight. I think the only one we really have on the same page is Warriors.
Yeah.
1.5. But hey, maybe some value picks on the Mavs. Hey, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I don't
but
hate
it.
Now
before Luka.
We'll see what happens. Timberwolves tonight, though. Timberwolves tonight. Give me D'Angelo Russell over points, and we'll have a day. I feel it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. We are back on tomorrow, and good luck with your bets tonight. We have more NBA playoffs for the rest of the weekend. See you guys, and good luck with your bets.